Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Spring Rayne with the show, The Conscious Child with Spring Rayne, with our special guest today, Miss Celine O'Donovan, joining
Mhm.
us from Ireland today. Thank you
Hi,
so much
Spring.
for joining us today.
Thank
Thank you.
you, Spring. It's lovely, so lovely to be here chatting to you. Thank you.
You are welcome. So, Miss Celine and I have quite a bit in common. We found out, and she has launched a brand new book called Gifts from the Devastation. It's a story, it's her story of her awakening post breast cancer about 6 years ago. And this is a story of her personal transformation after her experience with cancer. It's an uplifting and empowering story for anyone who's struggling right now or looking for more meaning in their life, not just those who have gone through cancer. The experience has utterly transformed her and brought her to a path of consciousness, awakened living. She shares her story to help others go on and to shine their light into the world. So this is an amazing gift that you have. Like it's I had the same.
Mm,
We have to kind of be cautious on what we say, I guess, because of YouTube. But we've dealt with the big C, we'll just say,
yes.
and both have healed it in different ways. Like I healed mine 100% holistically, and you did yours half and half, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
half and half. And she worked with the holistic with the traditional methods, and here we are.
Here we are.
So there's so much that can be done, and I don't look as cancer. I don't know about you, but I don't look at it as a, automatically way to die as we've been programmed. It is a way to look at the imbalances that are going on in our life. And each illness and disease resonates in our body as from an emotion that's
Mhm.
not worked with or trauma or just not worked on. And or maybe we have worked on it, just not enough. And it's just kind of stuck there. So I know that I went through an extreme transformation when I was working with mine, and I know you did as well, to the point where you wrote a book. The
Mm,
book that I wrote for mine was all about the diet that I used.
yes.
Mine's called Eat Conscious and Be Merry,
Mm,
and that's the gluten-free vegan diet that I used when I was healing mine because I was trying to detox. Because I don't know about where you are in Ireland, but in America we have horrible processed foods here.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Maybe it's getting a little better, but yeah. And I definitely probably could have done with your book at the time I was going through. So I will be taking a look at it, definitely.
Yeah. So, and also even just the way we're going back to more natural things now, more people are waking up to this kind of thing. Um, Food shortages. I don't know about where you're at, but we're
Mm,
starting to experience some pretty heavy food shortages. We have throughout the year or year and a half, and it's getting a little crazier now.
mhm.
But different ways to go back to more simple foods and simple eating
Yes.
will help, really just having fewer ingredients in your foods. I mean, that's the food. If you can't read what the food label says,
Yeah.
you shouldn't put it in your body. That's
Yeah.
my opinion,
You know, 100%.
That's
Absolutely.
not real food. And I posted before, food is the ingredient. So the real food itself is the ingredient. There shouldn't be any other thing.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about your journey and how about your book and how this can help.
Okay. Yeah, I echo everything you say, Spring, on every level. And it's just lovely for anyone watching or listening. I hope, you're seeing two women who, have, I hope it comes across, who are sort of living a life now I feel very much in purpose and in joy and in my truth and sharing my gifts and hoping to be of service. And that's there for everyone. So it doesn't matter what you're going through, whether it's the big C or
Mhm,
anything else.
mhm,
My big message in the book as well is that I think the overarching theme and where it shifted me is that life, I know now life is always happening for me, whereas I would have been living more in the victim mode of everything is happening to me.
mhm,
And that has been a huge shift. And I really, really do look at life, every aspect of my life in that way. And I always say that to people, regardless of what you're going through, we all suffer devastations and we will, but they're always about getting us on our path and into our truth and into our, gifts,
So
because we're human beings, we go off track, or maybe we don't get on track. um and that's and I always say, just even to ask yourself when you've gone through something, what if this was happening for me, what if this was happening to get me to understand, get me on my path, in my purpose, in my gifts. It really shifts everything, and life then, doesn't it, becomes very supportive. You're in this life enhancing sort of way of living. But just to give you a little picture of where I was beforehand, which I think many people will relate to, definitely it was an emotional source for me.
oh yeah.
There was a lot, absolutely. And this was the interesting thing. I had a lot, like everybody, I had a lot of things going on in my life. I would say with 6 years, more and more clarity is coming to it. But I do remember as a child being very sensitive and very open to a lot, and picking up on a lot, being very overwhelmed by emotion, feeling a lot in my family, feeling a lot in my environment. And at some stage, obviously, even unconsciously, at some point at a very young age, I learned to shut down. I shut that down, because obviously if it's not being seen, and this is no blame to anyone, this is just the system and the world that I was born into. So
Mhm.
I definitely was shut down, I think, until cancer, I would say. I mean, not completely, but I really did. I just knew this side of me is, so unconsciously, this is not being accepted, or it's not okay in the world, and I have to find a way to sort of protect myself. So I did shut down. I went through life. I looked on the surface to be having a good life. I went to school, went to college. I moved city to Dublin. I got a job in marketing. I met my soulmate there. We got married. It broke down after a few years. It's a whole other story, which I won't go into. We're beautiful friends now, and it's an amazing relationship. But it was so traumatic, because that was the first person I had met that I felt who saw me, and they would say the same. It was like we were sent to each other at a point to go, just keep going. This is what it can be like. This is what it's like when two souls connect. And I
Very.
call it now beyond time and space. Our love is beyond time and space. I don't have an issue. I'll say it. He's gay, and that's just, I've no issue saying it. It's just I could go in a whole different direction with that.
Yeah,
But that was a
exactly.
whole big part of it.
It was a
So
time and a space where you were supposed to be together,
exactly.
Yeah.
And we still are. So that's the beauty. That's why I call it, it's a love that goes beyond time and space, because it went beyond the romantic, because it was very romantic and all of that at the time. But it was a huge breakdown in my life, because it was the first person I felt truly saw me, and then they were gone after a few years, and the
Yeah.
same for them. But I experienced it. So that was the beauty. I think it was to get me to hold on and realize this is who you are. Because he always said to me, I saw a light when I first saw you, and I felt the same when I heard his voice. It's very interesting. We met through work. But that's a whole, sorry, I go off on that story. But I'll have to
That's
write a book. I have to write a book on that.
you actually, you know what? There's quite a few women in your
Yeah,
position
yeah,
that
yeah,
I know personally that have gone
yeah,
and experienced through that. So yeah, actually that'd probably
yeah,
be a really good
yeah. I think there's definitely something, because there's beautiful love between us now. We're learning together, and we're both on spiritual journeys. And to me, it's a lot about the male. I'm understanding is the male and the feminine energy was, when we talk about where the cancer came from, that was definitely, I mean, I was obviously suppressing myself. I felt throughout my life, I didn't understand it, but also I was out of balance in terms of the male energy channel and the female. And I got breast cancer on the right, which is very much the male. And I was very much in my male energy all my life. I think it was sort of survival. This is how the feminine side of me, the psychic, intuitive, feminine aspect of me, felt that it wasn't being received. So in the
that was
world.
I was on
So
the same side, same emotion. Like I said,
yeah,
there you have it. Once
yeah,
you dig in that emotion and figure out where that
yeah,
imbalance is and really start peeling those layers off,
yeah.
we can get a lot of work done, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. But it took me, I mean, you understood that probably earlier. I didn't, but now this is wonderful in a way. And I even understand our relationship, because I think I was more in my masculine and he was more in his feminine. There was a
Yeah.
whole, it's all of that understanding now that that's all healed is very clear. And it's beautiful to sort of keep peeling back and understanding more. But it ultimately culminated in, I went a bit off the rails after that. I ran away to Greece. I did a Shirley Valentine. I taught English there. I had a relationship there. It was all crazy, but good. And I came
All part of
back.
the journey.
But all part of
All,
the journey. I mean, it's
yeah,
wonderful to be able to say, like, I literally lived the Shirley Valentine life for about a year. On some level, it was wonderful.
that's pretty awesome.
Was pretty awesome, but at the same time I was in deep pain, so I mean it still, I don't regret. It was wonderful to be able to do it, but it just showed me that doesn't matter the outer circumstances of what we, it looked picture perfect, and I write about that in the book, but inside I was dying. But it was better maybe to be dying in Greece inside than dying here. It was what I needed
Yes.
to do. It was survival. It was survival
So
mode.
for mine, I got a camper, like a pull
Mm,
behind camper, and I was living in the Florida at the time. I'm actually here visiting now, but I was living in Florida at the time and went to Tennessee, which was about
okay.
12, 13 hours north of here. And just because I had lived in Florida my whole life, and everything was happening with it was just feeling trapped. I'd been here my
Mm,
whole life, feeling trapped, miserable, not really knowing how to get out of the rut I was in. Didn't even realize I was miserable. Let's
mm,
just put it that way.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through the motions, didn't
Yes.
realize I was miserable. And once I was alone, wooly, like
Mm,
that's
mm,
when it all started coming, lots of angels and lots of talking with, meditation, prayer, God, like just listening and tuning in. I had
mm,
nothing. Cancer, I should say breast cancer specifically, is about not mothering yourself. It's about mothering everyone but yourself in your last.
yes.
And
Yes.
that's what my life was about because I'm a giver and I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yes.
But I had
Mm,
to retrain myself that healthy boundaries,
yes. Huge.
love, that you when your health is vital. I mean, not even when your health, all the time, so your health doesn't decline.
Yes.
And it's not being selfish. I was
No.
taught that you do, if you don't do, I was literally taught,
Mm,
raised, not in a negative way, just we serve others.
that's it.
The wife serves the husband, the wife serves the
Mm,
children, work or
mm,
not.
mm,
There's just how generations are.
mm,
And I had to do a little bit of reprogramming with all that
mm,
and really come down to working on myself and what was going on with me and what did I need to heal
mm.
and
Did you
do that
find
myself.
that difficult? Did you find that because I exactly what you said,
Yes, yes,
and
I
I'm
did.
still working on it. It is so it
Yeah,
when you've had years, it's like all of the programming we're all dealing with now, and
yeah.
it does take a lot of work and time,
I
doesn't it?
still have to I still have to
Mm,
talk to
mm,
myself and say,
mm,
hey, remember, we're not going
mm.
backwards.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. I'm not 100% over that. I would like to say I am, but I'm
Mm,
not.
mm. Of
Stuff creeps in all the time, you
course.
know. It's
What
part of
year?
being growing.
Sorry, Spring. Sorry to interrupt you. What year? Because you didn't say what year were you diagnosed
Mine
with
was
cancer?
mine was in 2012.
Okay, so yeah, 4 years early. Yeah,
It was in February of 2012.
I.
I gave myself like a month and a half to prepare because I was going to be leaving. So I really had to get some stuff done and really figure out what I was doing, where I was going. But I just knew I had to be out of where I was at. And it wasn't because of family or anything like that. It wasn't any people. It was just me. I had to, if I was going to fix me, I had to be with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that part was really difficult for me to let go of. I had a stepdaughter at the time when she was a teenager, so she really kind of
Mm,
needed it. She was also a little bit older where she didn't need me as much. So I was trying to learn to let some of that stuff go.
yeah.
But it was so I left around the spring equinox, and then I want to say by the end of May, early June, my results, because I tested with my holistic doctor every 3 weeks, every
Mm-hmm,
2 to 3 weeks.
mm-hmm,
So we could watch that the levels were changing and going down and, what to adjust. And he's like, yes, it's working. Keep going, keep doing it. Just, he was my cheerleader and we would do, the appointments and it was it was also good hope, like
Yeah.
it was just, I could feel that something shifted. I could feel that something changed and something was different. But it took a good month into it of
Mm.
solid work, every day. But I had a lot going on. Like I said, mine was not just breast cancer and lymphoma. Mine
Yes.
was getting ready to turn into cervical cancer as well as leukemia because it was affecting the blood as well.
Wow.
So I had to individually hit one thing at a time emotionally, detox my body. And like I said, there's
Yeah.
a lot of different techniques. It's not just one miracle
Mm,
thing. And
mm,
not one
mm,
miracle thing is going to work for the next person. It's
mm,
different for every person.
mm,
But cleaning the body is the major, cleaning the body
mm.
physically and emotionally.
Yes, that's amazing for people to hear listening. And isn't the key, like you said there, it's so unique. I think everything is about bringing us back into that sovereignty, not just with cancer, with everything in the world now, is coming back in and
Oh,
listening
yeah.
and getting to know ourselves, tuning into who we are, our truth, what we need. Like that is the key. There's nothing more empowering, isn't there, and invigorating, I find, than coming back in and really listening. Now, I can't say I didn't go through the extent of that work, but at the same time, when I got the news, like you, what happened to me was it was the first time my life made sense. Like it was a shock initially because there was no cancer or any trace of it anywhere, but I knew because I'd been feeling so off for a few years before. It finally made sense. I said, okay, now everything makes sense because the way I've been feeling, if there
It's not
wasn't something wrong with me, then I thought I'm going crazy. So
wrong.
I actually felt, okay, this is okay. This is, yeah, I understand, what I need to do. And I lived alone then, and I literally went into a space. It was different because I did go through treatment, even though I worked with a shaman and lots of holistic work. And that was my journey. That was what I needed to go on. And
Hmm.
I'd worked with a spiritual midwife as I made the decision, this healer, because I was very torn. And she said, look, to me, there's no right or wrong. You need to go in and just decide. And whenever feels right, you don't know what purpose this is going to serve in the future. Because maybe who I'll work with will be people who have gone through it or are, coming out of it, whatever. I don't know. But
But I know.
yeah. So, and it's very interesting because I just recently, after where was I going with that now? Oh yeah, sorry. So in that silence, I was going off on another point, like you going away. So I did go away in a different way to my home, but through the treatment, my physical body shut down, and then my mind had been crazy for years. Like I was 1,000 miles an hour. I'd had a car accident before cancer that still didn't stop me. I literally hit a wall, and then I was back into my old life, pushing until it happened. But when all of that shut down, that was probably what I needed because nothing else was stopping me. So it was like I had to be powered down. And the only way that could be found to power me down was to just put all this chemicals into my body in a weird way. And then
Hmm.
something opened up. What I say to people is, if you just cracked what?
You got rebooted.
I absolutely got rebooted and reprogrammed and everything. But in that process, while everything was powered down, this was where the first great gift came. I felt like I was broken open, like it was a breakdown, a breakthrough, but a breaking open.
Mhm.
I've realized it was like, because it was the first time I felt peace. I felt safe. I felt like I had all the other stuff going on, but behind it all was this feeling of being held. And I like, because I sort of let go, isn't there? There's a certain letting go that has to happen. And I knew I had been driving one day and I said, I can't do this. I just was like taking my hands off the wheel and going, I hand it over. And
Yeah.
in that moment, something special,
Grabbed your wheel for you.
yeah, and said out of the car for the next 2 years because you're going crazy here. We need to we'll let you back in a while. And I was allowed back in as a passenger for a while. And now I'm finally maybe being given the wheel. But it's a process,
I
every
could,
time I overdo it. Sorry, every time I overdo it, I get this slap on the wrist and
well, it is. It's God's and the universe's
yeah,
way of
yeah.
making us like any illness. Everyone's like, oh, they get pissed, they're sick. Why do you get pissed? Like
Mm,
I used to get pissed. I used to get
mm,
angry. Dang
mm,
it, why am I sick? I got all this to do. Well, guess what? You're not going to get any of that done until you really rest with your body and really go in and figure out what's going on and serve it and take care of it and treat it and you
mm, mm.
recharge it.
Yeah.
Recharge
And
it
it's
as much as we do our phones.
That's exactly it. The recharge, like all of that language, I didn't understand. But when you've been, like, I had gone to a kinesiologist as well, and he had shown me even my adrenal glands were totally depleted,
Mhm.
and that was
Mine
why
too.
I'm sure, yeah. And then I ended up like a year or two with fatigue, but I needed that because I would, if I hadn't got that, I would have probably tried to go back on the hamster wheel again because I didn't know any different. And
Yep.
when you talked about the deprogramming, it's, and it's still happening, but
Yeah.
I needed that, isn't it? It to get me on a different direction. And once I said, okay, I'm not going back, I knew I couldn't go back. I started to be, and I think it's a really important message for listeners as well. And I say it in the book, once you make that decision inside, once you just let go and say yes, and you listen to the universe, you will be shown, isn't it? Every step of the way. You won't be shown 5 years down the road, but you'll be shown the next
And
step.
right in front of you.
Exactly, isn't it? It's and
That's when
yeah.
it's about being in the now and not looking for the future, because the future is bleak until you can fix the now.
Yes, because that's
You
what
know,
we're creating, isn't it? Yeah. And someone
yeah.
said it to me, even though I knew this, but you know the way you need to hear things so many times and in so many different ways for it to really. And I've always known, and I'm very conscious now of where you focus your energy. This is your creative power. But someone I was talking to was talking about, the seed and what you plant, and whatever you plant and you water, just be conscious of what that is, because that's what's growing. And if it's something you don't want, don't plant that seed. Plant
Yes.
something else. And it
Yeah.
sounds so obvious, but yet,
You don't want to plant any weeds. Well, actually, some weeds are really good.
yeah, yeah,
Weeds
yeah,
serve
yeah,
a purpose too. I don't want to say that. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
just be careful what you plant. Make sure they're not GMO.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just to be conscious in that. It's taking that, and that's a big thing in my book as well. It's sort of really coming back into, because once you accept, you're not a victim of life, and life isn't happening to you, but it's for you, and you're co-creating. You suddenly have to take ownership of your life, don't you? So it does take courage. When I see someone like you, obviously it took amazing courage to go down the path that you did and do the work, and how many people you'll help from that. But
Yep.
it's courage, because we have to face, like, you have to go into your pain, you have to go into your trauma, you've got to clean it all out, and that does
Mhm.
take, doesn't it?
It,
There's
it's dirty work. It's taking
it's
out the
work.
trash. It's taking
Yeah,
out the trash.
taking out the trash, and trying to stop it from filling up again.
Trash with holes in the bag and stuff's leaking out. That's good. Make sure you don't step on it when you get back to your place. It's definitely. Oh, I apologize. Sorry. Yeah, it's just definitely. It was daily taking out the trash. All right, what is this thought? Why is it here? What is causing it? Like, why, not go away. Why are you here?
Yeah.
Don't just shove it away. Why is this thought here? What
Mhm.
is causing this thought? Is it a fear? Is it a trauma? Is it me? Is it somebody else?
Mm,
Because a lot of
mm.
us that are empaths collect all of these thoughts, energies, feelings, and emotions because we are empathetic and we think it's all ours, and it's not
Yes,
always ours.
yes, yeah,
It's
yeah,
not always ours. We're taking on our partners, and if we have children or our
yeah.
families or our friends, and it's just very sorry. My phone
Okay.
is going crazy today.
Someone doesn't like us having this conversation, maybe. Who knows? Uh,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
we'll get it out there somehow.
yeah, yeah.
But
And
so where can they find your book at?
so my book, I'll show you here, just the cover, because I have one here. Because I really love the cover of it.
I
I
like
chose
art.
a sunflower because, well, I wanted something very uplifting and powerful. That particularly you see the words like devastation and cancer. It can be very. So I really wanted someone to feel sort of the positivity and the uplifting. When you come out the other side of this, it's just life changing in every way. So yeah, so I'm through my website, I suppose it's available on Amazon and Book Depository, all the traditional, standard ways. But if anyone wants to connect, you can see my name on the screen, and it's Celine, it's all one word. So it's CelineO'Donovan.com is my website. The book link is there. I also narrated and recorded an audiobook version of it, which was really healing for me to go back
I mean,
five,
you're
6 years later. you
Your
know.
voice was lovely for us Americans to listen.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope when I speak, I can speak very fast, but I did speak slow. Like, but it was a lovely thing to do that again. So the audiobook I'm selling direct, if anyone would like to sort of connect, and a lot of people with time and everything often prefer to listen. And just to say, again, yeah, like you, I've a YouTube channel. I have a mailing list. So for anyone who'd like to connect, my content is all around this, you know, the
Okay.
awakening, the learning, you know, the transforming.
I will put the link for this for her book in the bio. And if you
Yeah,
have a website or anything like that, I'm going to
yeah,
put that.
I can
Yeah, I
do
do
that.
have that. So I'm going to put all that in there so that way people can contact you or get your book. And if you guys have any questions for either one of us on this kind of subject, you can contact either one of us. We both have a,
Yeah,
similar but different perspective on
yeah,
how to deal this stuff. So
yeah,
it's not just one thing, one thing doesn't
no,
work for one person.
no,
There's many multiple things and what resonates with you.
yeah.
So awesome. Well, thank you, Miss Celine. I appreciate your
Thank you.
joy and your laughter today and your beautiful energy and just excited that someone else went on this journey too and knows that like I say, it was a lonely journey for me, but I'm just very
Mm,
grateful to have someone else to share it with too. So
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate it. So lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much, Spring.
Welcome. Love and blessings, everyone. We'll see you next
Blessings.
week. Have a
Take
great
care.
day. Bye bye.